The Taliban administration is proving adept at collecting tax and seemingly without the corruption associated with the previous administration. In late January, the World Bank reported strong revenue collection at 136 billion Afghani, which is equivalent to 1.5 billion US dollars over the first 9 months of 2022. According to the World Bank, about 60% of the Taliban treasury is funded by customs, which is raised at checkpoints where truckers trade rubber-stamped paperwork for cash. Hello and welcome to India Today Digital. I'm Anjali Istawal. We're talking about Taliban and its revenue collections. These trucks that you see lining up in the mountains splitting Pakistan and Afghanistan, teeming with a cargo of fruit and coal, are paying the Taliban authorities for the privilege of passage. Incoming freight is mostly food like oranges, potatoes, and World Food Programme or the WFP flour. But the outgoing lane is dominated by a convoy of lavishly painted trucks loaded with chromite and coal. Neighboring Pakistan has been hammered by the global energy crisis caused by the war in the Ukraine at a time when an economic crisis has withered its dollar reserves. So it brokered a deal to pay for Afghan coal in rupees, cutting out usual suppliers in South Africa and Indonesia. According to a 2022 report by research group Accept, coal exports to Pakistan likely doubled under the Taliban government and earned Afghanistan $160 million in tax, 3 times what the previous administration was capable of. The Taliban's transition from insurgents to bureaucrats is not entirely surprising. During their 20-year guerrilla war, they established a shadow government in many areas they control, including courts, regional governors, and a tax system to fill their war chest. The government's ability to raise revenue has far-reaching implications. The international community has pressured the regime over restrictions on women's rights with financial sanctions, but their ability to raise domestic revenue gives them greater independence, which could be worrying. Afghanistan's Taliban government is gleefully tom-tomming the revenue collections. It has claimed that unlike the previous regime, the Afghan government does not rely on foreign aid and has been able to finance its budget from national revenues for the past 2 years. It also presents a dilemma for donors. Does providing humanitarian support free up the Taliban administration to pursue discretionary aims such as quashing dissent? But perhaps the most glaring issue is the lack of clarity over how all this cash is spent. Last year, the Taliban government issued an annual budget outlining 231 billion Afghanis for spending. But scant further detail was given to the world. As per the findings of the UN, more than 90% of Afghan people live below the poverty line, mostly affected by prolonged political unrest and economic instability. And the world has no clue how this revenue collection will make their lives better. Do tell us what you think about this video in the comment section, and for more news updates, subscribe to India Today.